Hey guys, I'm Ainsley and today I'm going to be filming another video. This one is really weird and significantly harder for me to do than the other ones, but I've talked to some people around me and they all say that this seems like a good idea and that it's something that other people could use, so I'm gonna put it out there. Today I'm gonna be talking about my experiences in mental facilities and what mental facilities or hospitals or treatment centers, what they are actually like from my personal firsthand. I have been in 3 hospitals. I'm not going to disclose names because, like, first of all, I don't want to get sued. Second of all, like, privacy stuff. But I was in one the summer of 2016, one the fall of 2016, and then one the beginning of 2017. So, my first time in a facility last summer, I was there 9 days. The second one, I was just there like overnight, like inpatient thing. And then this last time I was in for 6-7 days. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, now I'm just gonna get started and tell you what it was actually like for me, because I know a lot of people think that it's just like, oh, they put you in a straitjacket and in a room with plastic everywhere so you can't hurt yourself, blah blah blah. That's not what it is at all. So let's talk about how I got into them, because you can't just walk into a hospital and say, put me in a mental hospital. I mentioned in a previous video and on some things online that last summer I attempted suicide. So when I did that, they immediately sent me to the hospital. And by hospital, I mean like the normal one, like if you broke a wrist, like you would go to the ER, the emergency room. And so that's where they sent me. And immediately, if you tell them, I attempted suicide, I'm having suicidal thoughts, I want to hurt myself, I want to hurt somebody else, anything like that, they like go on like full red alert. Like they're like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. So I remember they sent me to an ER room, and they took everything out of the room. Like they took all the wires and everything off the wall because they don't want you to like hurt yourself, hurt somebody else, like try and cut yourself, try and commit anything. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then they bring someone in called your watcher. I think that's what I called my person. But you have 24/7 around the clock supervision. Somebody is watching you all of the time to make sure that you are not hurting yourself or anyone else. Like literally, if you have to use the bathroom, they have to come in with you into the bathroom. And like I took a shower, they have to come with you into the shower and watch you to make sure that you're not hurting yourself, which I think that that's a good thing, because that person is there to make sure that you are safe and that you are not going to hurt yourself or you're not going to hurt anybody else. And honestly, I remember my watcher people, I don't know what to call them, I'm sorry, they were so nice and they were so like understanding and calm, and they didn't just sit there and be awkward like a rock. They would talk to me, but if I didn't want to talk, I could just stop talking, or if I wanted to go to sleep, I'd just go to sleep, and they'd just chill. Like it wasn't a big deal. Like you would think having somebody follow you around would be weird, but it wasn't. Okay, as not weird as someone following you around could be, that's how it was. And then they come in and they give you your watcher, and then they make you're not allowed to wear your clothes. You have to wear a gown that doesn't have a string so that you can't hurt yourself with it, and you have to wear stretchy pants that don't have a string in them. You're not allowed to have strings. Like from this point on, no strings, no wires, no nothing, no bra, no underwear, no nothing. You have to wear what they give you. So then I stayed in the ER overnight, and they determined where I was going to go, and they sent me to a facility in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And this is the folder I got. They give you a little activity folder, and they give you all these freaking like worksheets, and you work on them. But anyways, we'll get to that in a second. I was in the ER, and they transported. But I say they transported me, I mean literally they were like, okay, let's go. A police officer had came into my room and said to my parents, if you take her out, you are committing a felony. Like you're not allowed to take her out until a judge and a doctor says that she can go. So a police car came and picked me up from the hospital, and I rode in the back, and they said since I was cooperative, they didn't need to restrain me or anything. I just walked straight with them, because they don't want you to try and escape, because if you escape after you've said, oh, I want to kill myself, it's on them if you do escape, or if they let you go and you kill yourself. Like, it's on them because they knew, you told them. So they're not gonna let that happen. So they took me in a police car, and they didn't restrain me because I was cooperative, and I drove. And when I say, well, I didn't drive, I rode in the back, but when I say I rode in it, it was literally a cop car. Like, there was plastic things, like the plastic barrier separating the front and the back. The doors didn't work, the windows didn't go down, because they don't want you to try and escape, and they don't want you to hurt anybody around you. So I finally get to my placement in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and oh, it was rough. It was really rough. So this was the first mental place I had ever been in ever, last June, July, and when I got in there, I was so scared. Like, the people who were working at that facility for me, they were not, like, personable. They were like, go in, go sit down, we'll check you in a minute. And I'm like, I don't have any stuff, I don't have any clothes, I don't know where my parents are, my parents didn't come with me in the car, I don't know what's going on, and I was freaking out. And so, finally, I got inside, and they started being calm, and they're like, listen, here's what's gonna happen. Your parents are gonna come, we're gonna sign these papers and start your treatment plan, and they're gonna bring you clothes, and they're gonna bring you all that stuff, and then you're just gonna stay here with us for a few days. And I was like, okay. So that doesn't sound as bad. And we sign all the agreements, all the forms, and they're allowed to bring me clothes. Well, here's what I can tell you about the clothes in the mental hospital. In the ER, yes, they make you wear, like, the gown and the pants, and you're not allowed to wear, like, your clothes. You have to wear those clothes. But when you're in an actual facility, if it's, like, how mine was, because mine wasn't, like, maximum security. Mine was, like, low risk people. Like, I hadn't tried and killed a bunch of people. I only tried to hurt myself, and my thoughts weren't constant 24/7, how can I hurt myself, how can I hurt myself? It was just that one time. So I was at a low risk facility. So at that place, you could have all your clothes and stuff, except your bras could not have wires because they don't want you to hurt yourself. So I remember all my bras, they had to cut the wires out of, or I had to wear sports bras. If you wear basketball shorts, you couldn't wear Nike shorts. I remember I brought Nike shorts, and they cut all the strings out of the Nike shorts and ruined all my shorts. So if you ever see them, that's why they don't have strings in them. All my basketball shorts, they cut things out of. You're not allowed to wear jeans, you're not allowed to wear button-ups, you're not allowed to have hoodies, because I'm sure you can figure it out. And you're not allowed to have makeup. You can have a hairbrush, and you get a box. I wish I had the box to show you. You get a plastic box, and you put all of your, stuff, what is that word called? Hygiene, all your hygiene stuff in it. And they literally provide it for you, because it's like shampoo, conditioner, face wash, a little toothbrush so that you can't break it and hurt yourself, and like non-toxic toothpaste. And that's all you could have. Like, you couldn't have like spray, you couldn't have makeup. Like, this is not a fashion show, this is a hospital. But the reason they provided all that stuff and put it in a box is because it had to be alcohol free, because one of the workers was telling me, that people would try and eat, like, their shampoo and their conditioner and, like, try and overdose with the alcohol that was in it. So now the reason that they provide shampoo and conditioner, and it's not very good, but I mean, that's not top priority when you're in a hospital, is because people would eat it and try and hurt themselves. Okay, I'd just like to pause this video. I know I'm just rambling, but I never think or talk about my mental hospital experiences. I kind of just block it, keep it out, and right now I'm like thinking about it, and it's coming all back up, and rough. Okay, so I'm doing my best. So basically, everybody thinks if you're in a mental hospital, you're sitting in that room with your arms like tied back and you're not allowed to do anything, but that's not how it is. I'm just gonna give you like a brief summary of like what we would do. These are my folders. I just flashed the name of it, oops. And those are the hospitals that, 2 of the hospitals I was in. It just, here, I have the, let me fold this. Okay. It's like, if you want to pause this and read it, this is what you could and could not have. And for obvious reasons, like they don't want you to hurt yourself with your clothes, which people would do. But basically, they would give you a schedule, which I'm trying to find right now. Like, this is the, I'm gonna cover it up, the program handbook. It's not just a hospital where they just throw you in and they just watch you. No. You have a treatment plan, you have a therapist, you have therapy sessions. Here we go. Okay. So, I'm gonna fold this over because I'm trying to keep my information private. I was in, you can pause this and look at it if you want to. I was in one of the wings in the adolescent section. And so this was our schedule. Like, we'd get up, we'd take our medicine. Like, it was strict this. Because if you're thinking about it, when you're in a mental facility, there's a lot of people who have disorders that they literally have to be schedule, or else it just, everything falls apart. Like, and I don't mean that to be mean, but that's just how some of the people in the hospital around me were. And so we'd get up in the morning, they'd wake you up at 7, they'd pull you out of your bed. If you weren't out, you got in trouble. You have to make your bed, you have to clean your room, you have to take your medicine, and then we all have to sit in the day room until it's time for breakfast. Then we go to breakfast, we come back and we have our 3 therapy groups, and then we had a recreation group. So that means that we could go outside. I'm going to insert some pictures either here at the end of what it actually looked like. Like, this was the actual hospital I was in. And by recreation groups, we would go draw, we'd go color, we would go outside and go on the playground. We would do, like, playing on the Wii and stuff. We would do Zumba and stuff. Like, it's obviously not going to be, like, we're going to go play 2K, or let's go play Call of Duty, or let's go, like, it's not going to be fun because you're in a hospital. They don't want you to be like, that was so fun, let me go back. But it's also not just sitting there all day, just staring at the ceiling. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then we would do journaling, we'd go to lunch, and when you ate, there was a big cafeteria, and you would just go through the line, and you could get what you wanted, and then sit down. The food, honestly, wasn't terrible. I think it's better than, like, normal hospital food, but, like, it's obviously not, like, Paula Deen, A1 stuff. And then we did more groups. We go to the gym. There was a gym there. There weren't basketball hoops and nets for obvious reasons, but there were, like, balls and, like, tennis rackets and stuff that we could play with. And then at night, we would have dinner, and then we would have phone time. And so you could call your parents, they could call you, but you could only call your parents. Like, they had to type in the number for you, the workers, and it could only be approved numbers. Like, okay, say that my parents called me. They'd be like, hey, I want to talk to Ainsley Hargis. And they'd be like, okay, well, what's her ID number? And you would have to give them the ID number that they gave you on registration so that random people couldn't call in and be like, is Ainsley Hargis there? Let me talk to her. Like, only your parents could. Also, we had visitation. My parents, I am beyond blessed. My parents came as often as they could because the second hospital I was at was right near where I live, and so they came almost every single day. We had about an hour and a half of visitation time each night, and we would just sit in the cafeteria and just talk. And so you still get to see your family, you still get to talk to them. Had a slight problem, but got it fixed. So like I was saying, do all that stuff, you still have visitation, and you can see your parents, so you're not just locked up in a hospital. I get a lot of questions, and I had this question a lot too when I was in the hospital. How long do you have to stay? Well, I was only in there about 5 to 9 days every single time. The average stay is 5 to 10 days for most people. Sometimes it's less. There was this one girl in there, and she got out after 3 days, and all of us were so jealous. We were like, what? Why did she get to get out? Why can't I get out? But it was just her treatment plan. She got to go home earlier. And then there were some girls who had been in there for 2 or 3 months, and, like, I don't say that to scare you, but they needed more treatment, and so they were in there longer, and it was a more stable place for them to get treatment, so they stayed longer. And I just said girls, but the places I was in, it was boys and girls, but they were separated most of the time except for in group therapy. So to discuss that topic, boys and girls were not allowed to touch, get too close, talk too much. That's just not a thing. Like, you're not allowed to get too close with anyone in the hospital, or else they put you on sexual probation. It's weird. But their main focus while you're in the hospital is, oops, my phone's about to die. Their main focus while you're in the hospital is you and your treatment and getting you better. It's not to come in there and make friends. It's not to come in there and get a boyfriend. It's not to come in there and have the time of your life like a summer camp. It's to get better so that you can leave, because these places are not cheap. Like, insurance covers part of it, but these places were up to, like, over $1,000 a night. Okay? Like, I'm not saying that to be like, oh, I have money, look at me, but for everybody in there, like, not just me, like, everybody in that hospital was paying up to $1,000 a night, And you couldn't just be like, oh, I don't have money, I need to go home. No, you have to stay until the doctor releases you, and then you have to pay for it. So you're not in there just to have fun and all that stuff. You're in there to get better. But basically, you have a room. All that's in the room is your bed. You are only in your room when you're sleeping. You're not allowed to go in there all day. You're not allowed to close your bedroom door at any times. And if you go in the bathroom that's in your room, there's not a door. It's a shower curtain velcroed up, because they don't want you to hurt yourself in any way. Overall, I think I addressed pretty much everything. But if you are having suicidal thoughts or having homicidal thoughts or self-harm thoughts, reach out to somebody. The reason I made this video is not to scare you from going off to a hospital, because I remember my therapist had told me, Ainsley, if you keep having suicidal thoughts, you need to go to a hospital. You don't need to just sit around and wait. And I was like, no, I'm so scared. Like, it's going to be like crazy people hitting their heads on walls. It's not. Most of the time while I was in the hospital, it was just depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, but not like, you're put in an area like of your risk. So I was at a low risk, so I was around a bunch of other low risk patients. Like, we were all sad, we were all anxious, and so the environment is more comfortable because we're all struggling with the same thing. It's not like one random person like has anxiety and depression and then everybody else like has the flu. Like, no, everybody's struggling with the same thing. And the girls that I met in there are so nice. I still remember all of them. I still remember their stories. The staff there was such good staff at some of those places. Like, I remember I was there in the summer on 4th of July, and so we couldn't go outside because there's fences and we're not allowed to go outside. And so instead of getting to see fireworks and we're not allowed to turn on TV, they gave us a game night, and they were like, okay, well, we're gonna play all these games and you can win like snacks and stuff, which that doesn't seem like a lot, but they could have been like, just go to bed. Okay, and like, it snowed while I was in this hospital in January, and so we weren't allowed to go outside. So the staff brought in buckets of snow inside and let us play with it. Like, I don't know. Just, if you're having thoughts and you think that you need to go to a hospital, don't not go. Like, if it's what you need to go. What is up with my hair? Okay, if it's what you need, then you need to go. Because it helps. I promise you, if you just put your focus on your treatment 100%, like, I'm coming in here, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna beat this, it helps so much. Like, the first 2 times I was in the hospital, like I said in my last video, I was just like, get me out, get me out, get me out. Let me say whatever I need to say so that I can get out of this hospital, because it is, ugh. But then when I actually tried the 3rd time, that's when things really changed, because the places are designed to help you, and they help. They honestly do. They're not scary. You get to keep your clothes. You still get to be a normal person. And it's short term. It's not a long thing. And you're not just sitting around doing nothing. You're not sitting around people hitting their heads on walls and screaming. And if people do get out of control, the staff there knows how to handle it. And they know how to separate it from everybody else so that everybody else doesn't freak out. It's not a big thing. And so yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you guys liked this video, or gave you some clarity. Because I know before I was going to go into a mental hospital, I was like, I want to know what it's like, and I don't want to see, like, no, I wanted to see what it's actually like. So this is what it's actually like. I'll put some pictures in, and if you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my Instagram down below, because I know that I probably didn't address everything, and all I did was ramble for like 10 hours. Okay, bye guys! Okay, so I was just editing this video and I realized I completely forgot something that's kind of important. And my shirt's on inside out, that's cool. But basically at night when you go to sleep, you have to go to sleep at a certain time. You have to turn off your lights by like 11:30. And you have a roommate in the same room as you, and the door has to stay open all night. But also there's hall monitors. Like, the staff have to walk through and check on you every 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that your medicine hasn't like knocked you out and like killed you, which it doesn't, but they just have to check and make sure. And 2, to make sure that you're safe and you're still in your room. So yeah, I just thought that was something important I should say.